Hello everybody and welcome back to more political chatter. In this video we will be talking about Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and how his 2024 presidential campaign really does seemingly to be struggling right now. And I am basing that mostly off of polls because, polls that follow one candidate like an independent like Robert F. Kennedy Jr., even though they might not be good indicators of how the entire election will go, polls are a good indicator of a single candidate's performance over, over the course of the election season, and when they were doing the best and when they were doing the worst. So we have Robert F. Kennedy Jr. here with his vice presidential running mate Nicole Shanahan, and when you look at polling between Joe Biden, Donald Trump, and Robert F. Kennedy Jr., you see that Kennedy, this is Kennedy on the bottom here. Now, he has always been in third. That's no surprise. He's an independent. But you can just see in these recent months, ever since the beginning of the year, ever since January, he has been falling dramatically. Look, at his peak, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., on average, nationwide was polling at 20%. With these types of numbers, Kennedy would have easily met the requirements to make it into the CNN debate on June 27th. Now, he has like a few polls here and there that do qualify him, but we don't know if he's going to get in because his numbers are nowhere near like they used to be in January. Nowhere near. You see today, on May 31st, almost June, we see that Kennedy is only just above 10%. He went from 20% to only above 10%, and you see here now where RFK Jr. is really struggling with getting these polling requirements to make it into the debate. Again, I think he has 3 out of the 4, and he might get it, but if he had held up these numbers or even expanded on it, if he was able to expand this or, continue this trend that he was on, he could have made the debate easily, and if CNN, still disqualified him or whatever, then there would have been serious legal action, right, in that case. But now, you see that his support has been cut in half. That is not a good sign for a campaign. Now, I've been covering this RFK Jr. campaign for so long now, and I'll tell you this, I made a lot more videos when he was at 20%, because that was half of Joe Biden's support. You see, at the time that Kennedy was at when Kennedy was at 20%, that was also the time Biden was at less than 40%. He had more, 37 or 38%, but 40% we'll call it. He had half of the Democratic candidate's support. That is incredible. 20% is more than Ross Perot got in 1992, and Ross Perot is a very well-remembered figure in history because of his impact on the 1992 election. So before, in January, it was looking like Kennedy would decide this election, and maybe Kennedy even had a shot if he could increase his numbers, if he could, continue on this trend that he was on. But you see that when Kennedy went up, when Kennedy was at his peak, Biden was at his worst. So Kennedy was pulling support away from Biden. But since then, Biden has been able to climb back up, as well as Trump. Even Trump has seen an increase. And both of these increases are due to the fact that half of Kennedy's supporters have left him. Half. And now, there are a wide range of reasons for this. The media, obviously. The campaigns against RFK Jr., from the Biden and Trump campaigns, they have been attacking Kennedy nonstop. Those do appear to be successful based off of these numbers. Maybe people lost interest, maybe it was because of the good campaign that Biden and Trump were running. Maybe, the Trump and Biden campaigns actually convinced some of the Kennedy supporters to leave Kennedy and come on their side. Maybe they proved their record. So there's definitely a multitude of reasons for this, but I was really not expecting this for people like independents. I mean, really, typically, especially in this day and age where Trump and Biden are so unpopular, it seemed like, the more Kennedy got his name out there, the more he would gain support. But what I think is the issue with RFK Jr. is that whenever, people hear about Kennedy, it's negative. Whenever the media, or you see him on social media or anything, and you don't cover politics that much, if you don't follow politics that much, it's always negative. It's about something crazy he said, or something that came out about his past, or something he lied about in the past. And I think that has driven, many of these people who just responded in polls saying that they want Kennedy just because of how unhappy they are with the two-party system, with Trump and Biden being the two main candidates. I think that those were the type of people who were answering Kennedy in the polls. Maybe not even turn out for him in November, but saying, yeah, why not? I'll just show a protest vote and show my support for Kennedy. But ever since, since they hear nonstop or new things about how bad he is on the media, on the news, all they hear is negative about him. They're like, oh, I can't support that guy. So I think that has been really the main cause. But I'm not really sure why Kennedy has dipped so much in these polls. Today he is only at 10% nationwide, 10% according to Real Clear Politics. That's even less generous than the 12 or 13% or so that Wikipedia gave him in their aggregate. So you see here, whatever. And these are all polls where Kennedy is included, by the way. There are a lot of polls that show whatever, like Kennedy getting like 2% or 1%, but that's only when he is not included, and that's like basically people like saying Kennedy even though he's not an option in the poll. But I don't believe, maybe the 4% and the 6% poll didn't include him, but I doubt it. With those types of numbers, I bet he wasn't included in the poll. But what the Kennedy campaign is doing right, more than right, excellent. They are crushing it in terms of ballot access. This is the one, star in a sky of darkness. I don't know if that's an expression. Is ballot access for the Kennedy campaign, because they are very much struggling with polling, but at least they are actually getting on ballots so that people could actually vote for them in November. You see that he's on he's eligible right now for 238 electoral votes in November. He's not officially certified for all of these states, but many of them. But I assume he's going to get on all the states that are dark purple with the 238 electoral votes. But he is running a good operation when it comes to ballot access. And he should be getting ballot access in Florida right now, but he has it in many states. And it's growing fast. His volunteers are doing great work, and staffers, getting signatures. Even in my small town here, not that small, but whatever. It's definitely not a city in Connecticut. There was a ballot access drive, which is, that they are putting in the work for sure. Now, I am not here to say that Kennedy is not going to get any, or will not have any impact on the outcome of the 2024 election. I am not saying that by any means, because, this is a very strange election because of how close it is. And we're just at a strange time in history because, back then, there were landslides like 1984 where Ronald Reagan won 525 electoral votes to the Democrat Walter Mondale's 13. That will never happen, at least for decades and decades and decades. In this day and age, we have a few states, most notably 6, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Arizona, and Nevada, that decide presidential elections. These are the swing states. These are the close states. So you see here, in Wisconsin, Biden won by 11,000 votes. In Georgia, Biden won by 16,000 votes. This is 2020, by the way. In Wisconsin, 0.63%, it was something like 12,000 votes or something, or like 13,000. So you see here, these margins are just about 50-50. No one can predict this accurately, right? It is a toss-up. You can get it right and say that you predicted it right, but a tilt margin for the Republicans is just as good of a prediction as a tilt margin for the Democrats, because when it gets this narrow, you can't predict it simply. So my point is, it's 50-50, and every single vote that Kennedy gets matters so much in these 6 states, because these 6 states will decide the election, and these states are incredibly close. Biden won by 2.4% in Nevada. Out of the 6, that was his highest margin. If Kennedy does get on the ballot in all of these states, he will get more than 2.4% in every single one. He will at least get 5%, or maybe, 4% in one of them at least. So, he will have an impact on the election. But I'm just saying that the purpose of this video is that it is simply not as strong of an impact as we previously believed. When he was polling at 20%, it was like, oh my god, what is happening with this independent guy? He is going to shake up the race completely. But as he has sunk in polls, we do have a better understanding of how Kennedy will affect this election, and it really is not all that much. And, it does make it possible to predict. Before, when Kennedy was barely polled, and, one poll had him at like 24% of the vote, and another had him at 11. It was like, okay, how is this guy going to affect the race? But now we have more polls, and he has less support than we thought. So we actually can start to accurately predict this 2024 election. So thank you all for watching this video. I really hope you all enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe and leave a comment. You can tip on YouTube. That really helps out a lot. Obviously, I don't have advertisers, and I want to keep it that way. So again, thanks for watching, and I will see you all later.